Have you ever noticed how a woman's silence can feel louder than any words she could speak? It's a quiet that fills the room, a stillness that demands attention. In those moments, her true strength emerges subtle, refined, and completely undeniable. The world often gets it wrong, mistaking silence for weakness, withdrawal, or even disinterest. But for her, silence is a language of power. When she chooses not to speak, she's making a statement. She's protecting her energy, evaluating her environment, and drawing a line in the sand. And yet, so many fail to see it. They read her quiet as apathy or mystery, but it's actually an unspoken dialogue, communicating depth, wisdom, and profound self-respect. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the psychology behind feminine silence. We'll uncover the unspoken messages it conveys, and learn how to honor, understand, and even grow from it. By the end, you'll realize that what you might have seen as distance is actually a source of immense strength. Her silence isn't emptiness. It is her statement, her shield, her power. And learning to decode it can transform the way you understand women, relationships, and emotional intelligence. So, what's really happening behind the quiet? In a woman's world, silence is multidimensional. It's a tool for self-preservation, a space for reflection, a method of evaluation, and a form of subtle, powerful communication. Let's break down why. First, it's about emotional regulation. Women often process emotions in layers. When life gets overwhelming, whether it's stress from work, conflicts in relationships, or internal struggles, silence acts as a regulator. It's a mechanism to pause, breathe, and find her equilibrium again. Withdrawing into quiet isn't about shutting you out. It's about maintaining her own clarity amidst the noise. Second, silence is a way of evaluating boundaries, both hers and yours. When she goes quiet, she might be asking a silent question. Will you respect my need for space? Will you listen without jumping to conclusions? This isn't a manipulative game. It's a way of assessing emotional compatibility and mutual respect. It's a test to see if you can handle the depth of who she is, even when she's not speaking. Third, her quiet moments are often filled with strategic reflection. This is where she analyzes relationships, big decisions, and her own feelings. Silence allows her to gain perspective and avoid making choices she might regret. By pulling away, she creates a space to think clearly, free from outside pressures or influences. It's her private boardroom where she charts her next move. Fourth, silence serves as self-preservation. Many women have experienced being misunderstood, dismissed, or emotionally hurt in the past. As a result, silence becomes a protective shield. It's a way to prevent emotional burnout and guard her inner peace. It's not about building a wall. It's about tending to her own garden and ensuring her inner world remains stable and safe. And finally, it's a form of subtle communication. Remember, not all communication is verbal. Her body language, her gaze, the energy she radiates, these things can convey more than 1,000 words ever could. Understanding these subtle cues requires observation, empathy, and a high degree of emotional awareness. It's about listening with your eyes and your heart, not just your ears. Now, let's dissect the power of her silence even more deeply. When we see silence as strength, the entire dynamic shifts. Her quiet allows her to process, reflect, and respond with intention and clarity. It shows that she is in control of her emotions and refuses to be rushed into a reaction. This is a profound strength, often overlooked in a world that equates constant talking with influence and power. Her silence can also act as a mirror. When she withdraws, she's not just disappearing. She's reflecting the dynamics of the relationship back at you. Her quiet moments can reveal hidden patterns, imbalances, or unresolved tensions that have been simmering beneath the surface. If you approach this reflection with respect, instead of defensiveness, it becomes an incredible opportunity for growth, both for you and for the relationship. Even without words, her feelings are always being communicated. Pay attention to the subtle emotional cues within her silence. Notice the flicker in her eyes, the slight change in her posture, or the tone of her voice when she eventually does speak. These cues often carry far more weight and meaning than the words themselves. It's in these details that the truth resides. We can think of her silence in a few different ways. There's the reflective silence, used for contemplation and finding clarity. There's protective silence, which guards her emotional energy. There's evaluative silence, where she's testing compatibility and respect. And then there's transformative silence, a space where she allows for personal growth and deep insight. Let's consider a real-life scenario. Imagine a woman in a relationship where her partner repeatedly dismisses her feelings. Instead of getting into another draining argument, she withdraws into silence. At first, he might feel confused or frustrated, but over time, if he's paying attention, he'll realize this silence is a boundary. It's a non-verbal declaration that says, "I will not engage until I am respected." A partner who is attentive to these cues can grow in empathy and learn to communicate better. But a partner who ignores them, who tries to force her to talk, risks creating even more conflict and emotional distance, potentially damaging the relationship for good. Her silence becomes the turning point. So, how can you navigate this silent territory and connect on a deeper level? It starts with a shift in your approach. First, observe. Don't judge. Try to recognize the patterns in her silence without jumping to negative assumptions. Her quiet is a source of information, not a punishment. Ask yourself, what happened just before she went silent? Is this a pattern? What is the context? Second, and this is crucial, respect her space. Avoid pressuring her for immediate answers or explanations. Don't bombard her with "what's wrong?" or "why won't you talk to me?" Her silence is her sanctuary. Forcing your way in will only make her retreat further. Give her the gift of time and space to process. Third, when she's ready to engage again, respond with emotional intelligence. This means leading with empathy, staying calm, and offering genuine insight. Instead of demanding answers, ask gentle, open-ended questions like, "I've noticed you've been quiet. Is there anything you'd like to share when you're ready?" Affirm her feelings, even if you don't fully understand them yet, and avoid any hint of judgment. Fourth, see her silence as a lesson. Her quiet moments are an education in patience, reflection, and emotional depth. Observe what she values, what triggers her stress, and what brings her peace. By paying attention, you'll learn more about her than any conversation could ever teach you. And finally, use this understanding to foster mutual connection. When her silence is met with respect and wisdom, it stops being a barrier and becomes a bridge to deeper intimacy. Respecting her quiet periods builds trust and creates a safe foundation for authentic, open communication when the time is right. In the end, a woman's silence is not emptiness. It is her power. It is her clarity. It is her statement to the world that she values herself and her emotional well-being above all else. By learning to decode her silence, you unlock a profound understanding of her world, her thoughts, her emotions, and her deep-seated wisdom. You learn patience, you practice respect, and you develop true empathy. You begin to witness strength in stillness, power in subtlety, and wisdom in quiet reflection. Her silence is not an absence, it is presence in its most potent and powerful form. Decode her silence, and witness the unspoken power she carries within. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you found this valuable, subscribe to Decode Her to explore more about the psychology of women, the hidden layers of communication, and the silent strength that shapes our relationships. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and share this video with anyone who seeks a deeper understanding. We'll see you in the next one.